They said I joke too much, that I don't fit the mold. But last time I checked, I'm the one still bold.
Welcome to the Heart and Hustle podcast. I'm your host, Homer Hargrove, and today we're going to be talking about how to integrate AI into your business, work, or lifestyle. And I think when it comes to trying to build personal growth or our business, etc., it's not done in a vacuum. We're building our lives essentially, and we're trying to navigate relationships, mental health, even like our emotional bandwidth, and everything is really quick, especially when it comes to AI. The advancements from just a year ago to today are really incredible. And since we're going to be looking into this today, the thought of AI often has like a knee-jerk reaction in the general population, like our eyes start to roll, like we're irritated by AI. We want it to go away. We feel like it is destroying the world, and perhaps maybe. But I think that when it comes to really understanding certain aspects of AI, I want us to take a deep breath and understand that this is not like a like a soap opera for the benefit of AI. This is really just for us in the real world, in our real lives, seeing how we could use tools at our disposal, technology at our disposal, AI at our disposal to make what we're doing more efficient so that we can be able to have the emotional bandwidth to do other things. We are essentially wanting to use this to our benefit so that we can even like write off certain tasks or mental calories in order to spend those calories on something else. So right now, if you go onto social media, open your email, business articles, etc., everything is AI. I mean, even like those of y'all who follow me on Twitch, when it comes to AI in video game industry, it's like everyone wants to use AI. And typically we'll see some like headlines like thousands laid off because of AI, and or maybe you'll see something like 10 AI tools to replace your entire marketing team. How to do this in 24 hours with AI. It's like it creates this intense anxiety, and it feels like this massive wave of technology that is just crashing over us. And it can also imply that like if you don't surf this just right, you're going to drown. And it makes you feel like you're going to lose, or you're going to not be able to keep up with everyone else. I want us to just kind of like slow down, and rather than looking at like a lot of fear narratives, I want us to just take away that noise, and I want to just be able to give you some really practical, like almost like slow to moderate framework for bringing these kinds of tools into what you're already doing. And my goal is, as I've talked with different people, businesses and creatives, etc., I think that one, depending on like your tech savviness, like even my wife, like she has like very low tech response, to where I'm often like, even just like I showed her how to upload her podcast. She's like, can you just do it? And so I still manage all of her technology. So it's not about like whether they're like, oh, you're too old, you don't know how to use AI. Like even young people, it's not really like that. It's like it really just comes into, where do I even start? And that's my goal today, is to be able to help you feel like you have a place to start so that you can see the possibilities of how AI could potentially help you or your business. And we're going to discuss how to like really establish rules for yourself so that you don't really go down rabbit holes that lose your personality, or even like if, as a business, like that don't lose or damage your brand identity. And we're also going to talk about how to distinguish between tasks that require quantity versus the demands that are irreplaceable, or that deep human quality. We don't want to lose that. And so let's start off with this foundational boundary. And if you take nothing else from this episode, I want you to just remember this kind of rule, that AI should be used for refinements, not really for origination. What I mean by that is, the idea of originating or creating something is the spark. That is the soul. And it could be like an idea that you have. It could be like the core message. It could be something that's just unique to you. It could be your worldview. That maybe it's the lived experience that only you possess. Refinement, though, is the polishing, the organizing, the formatting, the smoothing out around the edges. It could even be for like potential expressions of something that was already originated by you. And so here's like an example. Like for many of you guys know, I write books, I write sermons, I do a lot of different creative work. When I'm working on a book, I'm writing a sermon, this is like a deeply personal message for me, and I'm trying to convey something to an audience that is impactful. That's even times like I don't even want it to just sound intelligent. There's been times where I wrote an intelligent sermon and I didn't feel like the heart was there, and so I threw the whole thing out, even though it was a fully complete sermon. Like this part really matters to me. And so for me, I don't type a prompt into AI that says write a sermon about forgiveness or write a chapter for my book about business strategy, because if I do that, it's no longer my message. I'm trying to use a tool to be the mechanic. Like I want the tool to do all the work for me. And while AI could almost like present the possibility to do that, it loses the heartbeat, and it becomes more of a like an amalgamation of the internet's average thoughts about the topic rather than your thoughts about the topic. And so we don't want to use AI to create something from scratch per se, or like originate. If you have no idea what to think of, you could use it to maybe like brainstorm back and forth. But we're not wanting AI to just do it all for us, because it will feel dry. But here's where this is how I do use it when it comes to sermons or book writing. This is where it can feel like a real game changer for me. So when it comes to like writing sermons, books, I write a lot differently than the way that I talk. When I'm writing, it's hard for me to and it's something I'm working on personally, but it's hard for me to convey my voice the way that I normally talk in the words on a computer or in a book. And so when I'm speaking, I'm a lot more passionate, I'm conversational, and even like ideas and stories flow more naturally. But when I sit down in front of like my computer screen, my writing style can feel a lot more rigid or overly formal, and it will lose that personality. And so what do I do is I'll record my audio notes, or I'll say like record transcripts of me, say, doing a talk, or talking out loud, or pouring out my heart about the concept, where it's all out there, where it has a lot of rough edges. It's maybe not fully like compounded or processed. But then I'll take that audio transcript and I'll feed it into AI with my manuscript. So I now have my manuscript and my transcript, and then I'm using the AI as a tool to be able to take my rough transcript and try and blend them together so that I'm able to look through my written chapters with my personality from my audio transcripts. And so now I'm using both things that I created myself to blend together in, say, a book format or a sermon format. And to where it's still keeping my vocabulary, it's keeping my emotional tone. It's not imagining what I would say. It knows what I would say. And so do you see the difference there? The core idea, the voice, the emotion, that's all originated from me. AI, I'm using it simply to act as like like an editor, or helping me to bridge the gap between my spoken word and my written word. And it helps to refine what is already there. And unintentionally, a lot of like credible businesses or even creators can lose their personhood because they get too excited. So what we find, and what you'll see all throughout your social media feed, is that AI could write a blog post in 3 seconds. And so some people stopped writing. I'll just use AI for that. Even like I'm thinking of specific creators in mind where it is like, oh, now I don't even have to record myself. I can make an AI avatar and have it share my notes. And like those are pathways you can take for sure. I'm not saying that's necessarily wrong or good, but there's this moment where we start when there's things that we could let the machine take over, but once we start letting the machine originate, suddenly our brand can start sounding more hollow, and it'll be like a slope to where it's like you won't notice at first, and all of a sudden one day your brand or your business or your content just feels super hollow, and your audience might not be able to put their finger on it, but they'll feel detached. And if you want your business to continue to grow with AI instead of be hindered by it, your audience has to still feel you. They, especially now today, like now more than ever, like the franchise industry is dying, if not already dead. And people want to do business with people that they can, with business owners and leaders that they can actually connect with. They want to be able to feel your heart. And there's when we use AI to polish these jewels, if you will, these diamonds that we have, we don't need to ask it to go into a mine and dig up synthetic diamonds. We have diamonds. We just might need some help polishing them through AI. But the diamonds are within us, not the AI. So I know I took a little bit of time to talk about that, but I wanted to address kind of like this core issue around AI, this idea of creation versus refinement. But now let's talk about practical day-to-day use cases that have really like zero risk of destroying your authenticity or your branding, but it does have a great chance of clearing your mental clutter. Because again, like you got to look at your day. You have say 100% mental capacity. If you didn't get good sleep, you're starting your day with like 70% mental capacity. And every single thing that you do, from putting your shoes on, choosing what you're going to wear, that is taking percentage of your mental capacity. Down to your work, where you're like responding to emails or etc. Those are all taking mental capacities to where by the end of the day, you do not have enough. You don't have more to give. And to where your task list may feel like it's never going down because you feel like you're always just barely able to make what your task lists are for that day, and you have a lot of rollover. So right now, as I was even like preparing this episode, I'm reflecting on like just even the spaces of dead time that I had for the day. So like even for this episode that we're talking about right now, I was actually driving to a recovery center. It's a long drive. It's like an hour drive. So I have a lot of downtime in my car. And there's times where I might need the mental decompression to just listen to a podcast or something, or listen to music. But there's also other times where if I have the mental bandwidth, I'm going to be trying to use AI at responding to emails, or even like mapping out what my next content is going to be. Even like today was for this episode, it was like mapping out what this episode was going to be with, what this was going to be about. And so this is the moment where we are trying to see how can I incorporate AI throughout my normal routines, and trying to utilize even like voice features of AI that can be really powerful, to where you can even treat AI as like an on-the-go thinking partner. There's times where I was having I've had conversations with AI to where it's like, hey, I don't know how LinkedIn works. How do I go about LinkedIn? How is it supposed to be used? I've never found myself on there. And I was just doing like research on LinkedIn, to where that's not something I necessarily want to do at my desk. There's like a million other things I would rather do than try to do research on LinkedIn. But thinking about it as a potential like lead generation, I was like, well, let me visit this on a downtime moment like driving. And I'm able to use AI features where it's talking back and forth and giving me information I need, to where this is helping me free up time later. When you do things like this, you don't need like this, or even like just responding to an email. Maybe you're even like mapping out like you have ideas about like your financial quarter, and you're trying to map out whether or not you have the budget for this or that. And you're able to, like, simply while driving, using AI as its virtual assistant to even like map out some of your business planning, map out some of your to-do lists, like generating a task list for the week. These are all things while you're able to do while dropping the kids off at school. And so you don't need like deeply emotional, authentic touch from technology to do this. All you need is this authentic direction. You know what you want to do, and there's nothing wrong with letting technology help give this space for you to use it to map out and get direction, to be able to listen to disorganized thoughts and act as like a vision board, a sounding board that says, based on just what you said there, here are 3 ways that you could structure this kind of workflow. You know, you're able to clear some of this cognitive fog before you even get out of your car as you're going from place to place, as you're trying to clear the space. You're using it to refine your workflow and give you better clarity when it comes to your direction in your business. Now, beyond brainstorming, I want us to look at a gold mine that could be used when it comes to AI and fast tracking certain like administrative tasks, mundane things that drain our energy. Things like summarizing meeting notes. You're doing a strategy meeting. You're brainstorming on the white. Maybe you have like multiple people in your group, and you have a lot of things brainstorm on the whiteboard. There's a lot of fast and messy notes. Maybe even just like on a legal pad. And after the meeting, instead of spending half an hour trying to type up a clean summary for your team of all the meeting notes, you can literally take a photo of your handwritten notes and upload it to AI and say, clean this up and give me bullet points of the main takeaways. Give me structured lists of action items for each person. And you're able to take something that was literally a job to take meeting notes. You could even take an audio recording and upload the transcript of the audio recording to AI and have it summarize the notes for everybody and email those off. And so now we're really seeing how it can organize and help in executing plans that we're within our times in our meetings. You could use it for research or for article summarization if you need to keep up with like trends, or you're trying to look at different research articles. You're able to pass those through a tool and ask for a comprehensive summary of this article, or through this video, through this transcript, and you're able to save yourself hours of trying to dry read text and hoping that you walk away with core data. Rather, you can use AI to help expedite these kinds of tasks or research. And you could also do things like something I hinted at earlier, strategic and financial mapping. This is really big for me, even as like a small business owner. When you're trying to look for snowball effects in your business plan, or you're trying to figure out financial projections, you can just input your current baseline numbers and map out a pathway for major milestones and help understand like what your quarterly goal should be, like when it is realistically safe to sign for a new commercial lease or make a large equipment purchase. You can ask this tool to help run the math across multiple scenarios, and it's not making the decision for you, but it gives you this clarity and a clear pathway of variables that you're able to look like that, to where most people have like a team behind them trying to map out these kinds of things, but you're able to do it just you and your AI. And it gives the power of a team behind you in the palm of your hands. It sounds like I'm doing a marketing campaign, but it gives you the ability to have a team behind you as a sole proprietor, as a self-employed person, and be able to give you the marketing, the planning, the strategy of a full blown out business with a staff. So as we integrate these tools, you have to establish a clear understanding of when something requires a focus on quantity versus what strictly requires quality. And so this is, again, going back to this idea of like establishing rules for ourselves. So as an example, I want us to look at like, say, digital marketing and video ads. today, like as of right now, we have AI tools that can generate short form videos. They can clip longer videos into social snippets. They can help scale ads, creatives, and creative things rapidly. And when we're trying to integrate like our things for social media marketing and stuff like that, I'll give you a personal example. Like something that I would say is a quality aspect is like my message content. So for my long format messages, whether it's this podcast or the sermons I preach, that is a quality aspect that I don't want to lose the quality there. But I can use AI. I'm even what I do now. If those of y'all who follow me, you notice that I'm able to run my core content through an AI program, and it automatically clip segments of my messages to where I can then use for marketing and social media purposes. And see, that's this combination of like a quality that I'm able to use AI, keep the quality, and produce a great quantity. But now let's look at something that's a little bit different, to where I'm not as concerned about like the heart or quality behind it. And let's say I'm trying to make some marketing behind putting out my book or putting out some of my merch that I produce. Well, for that, I can have a combination of things, but say I'm limited on time and resources. I'm able to use, I don't see any problem with using AI to create multiple variations of an ad campaign in order to just put my product's presence out there. I'm not necessarily trying to make this emotional attached connection in an ad to where it's like, oh, if it's not me, then it's not real. I'm really just trying to create a marketing presence to where my product is seen. And so there, I'm leaning more into giving quantity. I want to be able to do this quickly and efficiently. And this is a great way to be able to use AI to where I'm using it as this marketing technique. Now, there is a trap in this, because you can't expect AI to produce deep, authentic value that builds long-term customer loyalty. So there's a massive difference between, say, like this automated presence of AI ads and user generated content, or even founder content, like me putting out content myself. That brings more value. Your audience might discover you through a high quantity optimized ad loop. Like they might see, say someone might see my book or see a hat that I made and connect with that, like, oh, let me see what this person is about. They're only going to stay because of the raw quality moments that I show up as a real human being. No one wants to. Everyone will get tired of just endless loops of AI videos. That's not going to be able to. You might be able to catch some attention, but it's not going to be able to retain that customer base. And so again, that's the difference between quality and quantity, and understanding what you really need and how to balance the both when it comes to your marketing. Now, as we close our thoughts for this on the day today, I want to step back and I want us to just really look at the picture of what AI is. When we face this huge shift towards AI, it's a big technological shift, and it's easy to feel this sense of hesitation or even like ethical conflict. And again, I'm not trying to say that AI is evil or good. For me personally, I see it as a tool, and we often ask ourselves, does it really? We should ask ourselves, does it really matter if a tool was used to make this, and am I losing my integrity by using it? And whenever we feel this way, it helps us to look at history. Because when it comes to AI, I use it for a lot of different ways. Like even just, I'll repurpose the same content multiple times, where a sermon can turn into a book, and it can also turn into a music album. It can turn into a t-shirt. It can turn into so many different products that I've repurposed over and over. And so for me, when I look at AI, it's not creating this content, but it's helping me to repurpose it over and over. And I think about like, is this wrong? Is this ethical? And I look at history and I think back to every milestone of technology. There is always a tendency to have like an outcry, like this technology is going to ruin us, it's going to destroy jobs. And I think back, like even like when the printing press, like I know I'm going way back, but I would argue that even the printing press, before that, books were painstakingly written by hand by scribes, and it took months, sometimes years, to produce a single copy of a text. And when the printing press arrived, it made a lot of people incredibly nervous, I would imagine, that there was probably this outcry that society was losing a level of sacred authenticity. Like people probably believed that, just like today, people reading a book stamped out by a machine couldn't possibly carry the same spiritual weight of just an intellectual weight of a book, of a book that's printed by a press. It can't compare to the soul that was behind the scribe, and not to mention all the scribes that are going to lose their jobs because of this piece of technology. And it is, and what I'm trying to get at is that people always fear the changes that technology would provoke on the human mind, on human behavior, on even like society. But what actually happens is that the printing press didn't destroy human thought. It helped make it more efficient. It made it more available for people to create books. More books were created, more authors were created, more jobs were created, and it allowed ideas to spread at a speed that was able to transform the world. And now, fast forward a little bit, the same thing happened when people transitioned from paper books to Kindles or ebooks, and even letters to emails. As humans, we naturally are wired to fear the tools that change our processes. We're afraid of these things changing. But we have to realize that a tool is just a tool. And as we continue to develop in our technology, the tool doesn't hold the heart of your work. You do. And you're simply making the execution of your vision better and faster by using a new tool. And ultimately, it comes down to evaluating emotional implications of what you're creating. And as a final thought, just look at the contrast of when you should or shouldn't use AI. There's a massive difference between using AI program to help design your business logo, going back and forth with multiple prompts and refining shapes, colors, and concepts to try to really get what you feel inspired by, versus using AI to write an apology letter to your spouse after a fight. That's a big difference to where one, with the business logo, you shouldn't feel really hesitation or guilt about whether it was drawn with pen and paper and ink or generated through algorithms. The purpose of the logo is utility, is branding, is visual direction. The tool used doesn't make the business valuable. It is just helping express the business quickly and more effectively. But a letter to your spouse, that requires a completely different amount of emotional weight. If you use an AI tool to write an apology to someone that you love, you have entirely bypassed the necessary and uncomfortable human process of self-reflection. That letter needs to be unfettered by anyone else's words, let alone a machine's predicted text of what an apology looks like. That kind of emotional weight needs to be raw, messy, and honest. It needs to be human. So I hope that this longer episode helps you in understanding how to use AI in your own life, in your own work. And just, again, I know that I talked a lot about businesses, but even imagine using AI to map out your meals for the week to feed your family, to map out, imagine saying, I'm going to use AI to get 5 recipes that my family likes, and then I'm going to use AI to categorize all the items needed to make these recipes to feed a family of 5 with each meal. And now, just as you're dropping off the kids to school, you just saved arguably an hour and a half to 2 hours of time that you would be doing by simply using AI on a car drive. And when you look at a task, ask yourself, what are the emotional implications of this? Is this a system that needs structure or polish, or is this a bridge that is building my trust, that requires my pure, unedited humanity? And as we are looking at systems to automate, to refine, we should use AI. I would even say use it as much as you possibly can, so that you could use your mental capacity to think about new things and more important things, or your next things. But if it's a bridge of trust, you don't need technology in every aspect. You're able to show up for yourself. So I hope that this helps you to have a little bit more confidence in stepping into these spaces, and just for us to feel more mindful as we're taking these leaps into something that's still really, really new. But until next time, have a great life.
Then tell me why you still watch every move I take. You call me phony, now I'm just free. And if you still doubt me, go by my book. Yeah.